Transaction. They say nostalgia is a tender wound, a place where the heart lingers, aching for what was, yet unable to let it go. Sometimes, a random song brings back memories of when life felt full of hope and excitement, like the anticipation of a holiday. In these moments, we feel a wave of nostalgia for what seems lost. It's natural to wonder, are these feelings gone forever? Moving through time does indeed seem unrealistic, and yet it all depends on your perspective. It is like the model of the two-dimensional beings on a flat surface who cannot see the third dimension. From the point of view of the fourth dimensional space, our three-dimensional space also looks like a flat surface. The rational mind could say, all these theoretical models are just abstractions, but I know what I see. There is much in transurfing that seems incredible, and yet we do not call you to believe the principles of transurfing, we urge you to test them out. Of course, this will require your intention, some effort, and patience because the results will not immediately be obvious. In the majority of cases, outer intention works slowly and barely noticeable. It might be difficult for you to believe that this mysterious, invisible force exists that acts in a way unseen by the eye, particularly if you're just reading about it and have not yet tried to apply the principles of transurfing in practice. The moment has now come for you to see movement through the alternatives space with your own eyes. You'll see that you can move through time both forward and backwards. This isn't like time travel in science fiction, it's about the shape of reality itself. This time, you won't wait for outer intention to deliver results, you'll see them immediately with your own eyes. There's no trickery or experiments with the astral plane or dream space. For a brief moment, you'll truly feel the movement through time and space. In practice, the process comes down to a simple, single action, transaction, which consists of three elements: energy fountain or turning the key, visualization of the target slide, and clear gaze. To carry out the first element, you must remember your central meridians. If you have already been doing the energy exercises, you should be familiar with the feeling of the meridians. You start by scanning your body and relaxing any tension in the muscles. Then picture your energy moving in the rising and descending currents along your spine. A useful method to activate your energy fountains quickly is to imagine that two arrows run horizontally from the center of the body, extending in opposite directions. One points forward and the other backwards. The arrows extend 20 to 30 centimeters or more from the body. Now picture both arrows turning at the same time. The front arrow turns upwards and the arrow at the back turns downwards until they are in a vertical position to the spine. You will immediately feel a boost in the flow of energy. You can practice this exercise either standing still or when you are walking. It is as if you are turning a key that switches on the central energy currents. There's no need to turn the arrows into fountains or to bring them together into a sphere. The important thing is to imagine being permeated by the flow of energy. It does not matter if you cannot actually feel the energy moving through you. A real sense of this will come with practice. Do this exercise when you're going somewhere or simply out for a walk. It will give you a sense of lightness and relaxation. Turning the key is the first element of transaction. You can apply this exercise at any time you need to quickly enter a more relaxed state. Try turning the key many times during the day, particularly when something is troubling you. You will notice straight away how the key releases tension. We are constantly carrying problems around with us, some small, some big, and the weight of our problems is automatically reflected in our muscles. When you're walking along and catch yourself thinking about something unpleasant, troublesome, or worrying, remember the key and turn it. You will feel a wave of relief as your muscles relax. It is good to get into the habit of turning the key as many times as possible during the course of your day, then you will always have a way of releasing and cleansing the energy of intention from the excess potential that brings you down. Consider the exercise the key to the conditioning box that oppressive circumstances like to lock you up in. It will not free you of importance, but it will considerably ease the process of release on an energetic and physical level. Once you have turned the key, picture your target slide. Do not forget to imagine yourself inside the slide rather than watching it like a scene in a film. See yourself in a situation where the goal has already been achieved. To connect yourself with the slide, imagine what you would be feeling if you were living it in reality. Touch the scene with your hands, imagine the sounds, smells, or any other sensation that easily comes to you. Turn the slide in your thoughts for a minute or more. The transaction process is most effective if you practice it when you are relaxed and walking in a familiar place. You can look to the side, but in order to focus more clearly on the slide, it is better to lightly hold your gaze somewhere on the ground just in front of you. Once you can more or less see yourself in the slide, gaze ahead of you with a look of conscious awareness. Do not think or analyze anything. Just take in with clear sight whatever you see ahead of you and further into the distance. Clear sight is the third and final element of transaction. For a few seconds, there will appear to be a change in the nuances of the scenery. When you look at a familiar view with clear sight, you will notice that although the picture is basically the same, there is something new about it, as if some new yet barely perceptible hue had been added. It will be as if you had seen it before somewhere, not the specific details of the scene, but a certain feeling, mood, or aftertaste, a hue. So that's the transaction process. Turn the key, visualize the target slide looking just ahead of you, and then clear gaze. You might, for example, look at a house that you have seen many times before, but on this occasion notice its colors or lighting and understand that somewhere in a different circumstance you have experienced something similar. In some cases, you might have a distinct feeling that you know the scene from something that has happened in the past. You will no doubt have already come across this bizarre effect of when a feeling from the past suddenly streams into your conscious memory. It is not a memory of the past so much as a feeling from the past, a déjà vu. We experience the déjà vu effect quite often. It is just that we do not always notice it because we accept the situation at face value. In other words, we are sleeping through a daydream. Transaction, on the other hand, enables you to notice how the world is changing before your very eyes. You may experience a vague sense of something familiar, or the opposite, sense the appearance of a new, unfamiliar hue. So, what is really happening in these moments? The material realization of the layer of your world is moving in the alternatives space. Essentially, what you're seeing is a change in the shades of the scenery in the stage set. As you know, different sectors in the alternative space have different scripts and scenery. Depending on their relative distance from one another, the differences between the sectors may be more or less pronounced. As a rule, the movement of material realization takes place evenly and for this reason barely noticeable. You will not perceive the movement just as we do not perceive the movement of the minute hand on a small clock. Dramatic changes in shade are only felt when there is a sharper shift from one lifeline to another. This is also when you begin to see signs that clearly draw your attention. During the transaction process, visualizing the slide strengthens the force of the wind of intention. In these moments, the quality of your thought energy significantly differs from the frequencies of your current lifeline. The turning of the key strengthens the energy that programs your thoughts, and as a result, the movement of material realization through the sectors accelerates. Clear sight attunes you to waking up and capturing the moment of change. Clear sight enables you to perceive the changing shades in the scenery for the short moments that the gust of wind lasts. We advise that you do not get too hung up about it if the transaction exercise does not work straight away. It will work. Make your attempts spontaneous. Do not try too hard. Do not strain to achieve the desired effect or place too much importance on the technique itself. You might happen upon a completely different technique that works for you. Do what feels right and comfortable and practice lightly at odd moments during the day. The less important you make the transaction exercise, the better the results will be. As long as you do not take it too seriously or try too hard, it should come easily. You might think that if you repeat the transaction often, the process of moving towards your goal will be rapidly accelerated. And you would be right. The problem is that you cannot always consistently perform the transaction exercise impeccably, i.e., dispassionately, because the old habit of desire spoils things. If you set to burdening yourself with the transaction exercise, you'll be expressing the powerful excess potential of the desire to get results as quickly as possible. Potential will also be created if you become absorbed with the necessity to act and put pressure on yourself to do the transaction. Necessity is also an excess potential, which is why we always urge to simply enjoy the process of visualizing your target slide rather than making demands of yourself. Only practice the transaction exercise from time to time out of curiosity and with the aim of enjoying it. Do not take the transaction exercise too seriously. Its only purpose is to enable you to see the movement of the force of material realization in the alt space. The potentials of desire and necessity drain the energy of intention to such an extent that there can be no gust of wind, and without the wind of intention, the transaction will not work. The desire to see results is particularly great in the initial stages, and so I would recommend keeping a lookout for desire. As soon as you catch yourself desiring to see a result, take a break and begin again. Likewise, if you find yourself tensing up because you're trying really hard to fulfill the transaction perfectly, leave it and try again later. Of all the transurfing exercises, most attention should be given to running the target slide and the action slide, i.e., visualizing the current link in the transfer chain into realized pathways of reality. Outer intention works whether you see it or not. It is just that now with transaction, you have a kind of portal into the alt space and the opportunity to observe your movement there. It is quite impressive. You will not be disappointed.